Oh my gosh. Yay. Okay. It seems to be working. So all that being said, because if people were here last week, I did a live and we had tons of tech problems. So hopefully today we
Yeah.
don't. But if you've never seen my face before, I'm Gabrielle. I am the admin of this Facebook group, and I am extremely, extremely, extremely excited to have Brit here today. She's my social media manager. So if you follow me on Instagram, this is the person who makes it all happen.
I'm
And
so excited to be here.
I know. And I mean, there are so many questions about social media. So I know that it's, becoming more popular, of course, and a lot of us really struggle with that. So
Yeah.
I have a long list of questions, but if you are watching us live, then feel free to drop your question in the chat if you have anything for Brit. If you're watching the replay, make sure you put #replay so that I get notified and I can come back and know that you watched it. But I would love, Brit, if you would just start us off and give us your little elevator speech. Tell us who you are, how you got to where you're at, all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me join. I'm excited to, help everyone out with socials. So a little brief backstory. I started off working in corporate marketing. So I did social media management for some talk shows on Lifetime Network. And I did that for some time, but I was also freelancing as a social media manager on the side and helping local businesses around me kind of grow on socials. My first client was actually a therapist, which is like so full circle. Um, but I actually found that I enjoyed that a lot more than being in a cubicle and, working corporate. So that's kind of where I got my start. I was like, okay, let me go full on into freelancing. And I did that for about 2 years with just one assistant. And now, we are a team of 10. We have a full agency, which is so exciting. And we work with all kinds of businesses, service providers. And it's been a really fulfilling journey. So yeah, that's a little about me.
I just appreciate you sharing that. And I will just say, from my own perspective, when I was thinking about hiring somebody to do social media,
Mhm.
it's, of course, very overwhelming. And that was the thing that I really appreciated was that Brit had real life experience, that you had worked in TV, you understood the
Yep.
angles, cinematography. And
All
I'm
the
like,
time.
I want somebody who understands the back end stuff, not somebody who just was like, oh, this seems fun and I like Instagram. So
Yeah, that was something that was really important to me is like utilizing all the skills that I've had learned in corporate and bringing it to people who might not necessarily have access to, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, definitely. It's a collaborative effort too, like when I'm working with you, we're sending you, ideas to film, then you film them, and then we're taking on a lot of like the back end work that people have to do with socials, like editing and writing your captions and keeping up with trends. And it's a lot of work involved. But everyone should be on social media. So it's much needed.
That's a good place to start because one of the questions, well, I asked people last week, what do you struggle with? And a lot of the answers were everything. It feels overwhelming. I'm already doing so many things. I
Yeah.
don't like to be on camera. I don't want to show my face. So can you talk a little bit to that piece and keeping in mind everybody in this group, everyone's a therapist, and I would say majority of them are group practice owners, and then some of them are solo. So some people are in different stages, but what advice do you have for that?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of the times people tell me all the time, like, I don't have time for social media. I don't want to film myself. Like, I don't know how to do these things. And I'll just have to be honest with you. It takes a lot of practice to get good at it. You're not going to just start off and, go viral after a couple of videos. Like, people have that expectations, and that's not the truth of it. It's like you're learning a brand new skill. So that's the first thing is like have realistic expectations with it. Like it's going to take time to get really good at it. You'll get more comfortable with it as well. A lot of people don't want to be on camera. But it's a thing that you have to kind of practice and get good with. Like, you're really good at it, So, luckily for me, it was good. But some of my clients, they really struggle with being on camera. They don't want to necessarily be the face sometimes of their business as well. But I always suggest being the face of your practice or your brand, because people buy from people.
Yeah.
And the way that you do it uniquely is going to make you stand out, and people will work with you as opposed to with someone else. And then also, I always say this: you are your biggest, billboard, or your biggest influencer. No one's going to go as hard as you will for your business. So, being the face of it also really helps that aspect. So that also like motivates you to show up and, make the content when you know that it's really writing on you, and how you show up is really going to affect your business positively.
Yeah.
So I always say, try it, practice it, take your time with it. You don't have to be like a full-blown influencer or content creator, but if you can show your face here and there in your content, in your marketing, it's going to make a huge difference. Long answer, but
No, helpful. And do you think, because I was thinking about that too, like some of my coaching clients who feel the same, they're like, I want to start doing this, but like I don't want to put my face out there. Do you think like using B-roll is a easy way to like start getting more comfortable?
Yeah, 100%. I think B-roll, especially on Instagram Reels, is probably the easiest way to like get your feet wet, like, and start that way. And getting B-roll is not that difficult. Like, you set up some time at your schedule, have a list of B-roll that you're going to film, whether that's sipping a cup of coffee, writing in a journal, maybe you're pretending like you're in a therapy session. I had my first client. That's what we did. In the beginning, she didn't want to talk on camera. She didn't want to do trends and TikTok dances. Like, she didn't want to do that, of course. So I had to get creative, and I told her, okay, this is the stuff we're going to film. And it was so simple and easy for her. And we were able to use that content for months. And then she was able to also get her confidence. And eventually she did start making, appearances and talking on camera. But it started with the B-roll. And it's really, again, it's not that hard. You're doing these things anyway. Might as well film yourself doing it. So, yeah.
I agree. It's very easy and an easy way to start doing it. So I think that's a good tip.
Yeah.
We have a question from, I hope I'm saying your name right, Bradlesia. I know the answer to this, but I want you to answer it. Do you come up with the scripts and the plan for socials?
Good question. Yes. So within my agency, we are very collaborative, and we try to give as much support as possible. So when we have a client come in, the first thing we do is we strategize, because we're not going to just start posting random content. We have to come up with a really good strategy for you. And then based off that strategy, we will come up with the content ideas, we'll break down the content pillars, and then we'll script out the individual videos for you. Some of my clients like to talk, so we'll script it out literally word for word. Some of our clients don't like to talk. They rather, do the B-roll thing, or something like maybe show their product, or, show content in a different way. So we try to work with our client and what they are looking for, but also keeping in mind what's going to reach their end goal. So we will push you to do, some talking videos, or like with you, for example, we do a lot of fun stuff. Like, we do fun, like, trends. Like, Gabrielle's amazing on camera, like, first of all. So it's easy to do stuff like that. We give her, like, do it this way, or a shot, or maybe a trending sound. So yeah, we try to support as much as possible.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point too, is like some of the things that I do, I could feel sometimes when you asked me in the beginning, it would be like, oh, if you want to, you don't have to do this. Cause there was one, I don't think I posted it here in the group, but it was on my Instagram of like a trend where they're cutting a coconut, and when they cut the coconut open and there's water. So we had my husband like dump an entire pot of water on my head. So like not everybody would want to do that, but I don't mind doing stuff like that.
Yeah. It depends on, like, how much you want to get into it. Like, some people are all in, like, they want to do the fun things because, that kind of stuff grabs people's attention. Right. So you definitely have to work your way up to it, or, at least do something that's fun as well. So yeah.
I love that. And I'm willing to do all the things. So
Yeah. And I love that.
I have no shame. What about, I'm trying to go through, like, you answered some of the questions already, but a lot of people were asking, actually, this was a really good question
Yeah.
that I struggled with before I hired you too. This is the hardest thing for me, is the hook. How do you come up with the hook? What, do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I feel like people throw the word hook around a lot on social media, and like the advice is, people will say all different kinds of things. But basically, a hook is the first 3 to 5 seconds of your video. And the reason why people talk so much about the hook is because that really is the thing that's going to grab people's attention. It wouldn't make sense to spend hours and hours filming content and people scroll immediately. So the hook is super, super crucial. And I think that there are multiple ways to do a hook. You could do a verbal hook where you literally say a line that grabs people's attention. You could do a visual hook where you're doing something kind of like that, the watermelon or the coconut thing where it grabs your attention, a visual hook. You could do both in a video as well. So the hook is really, really crucial. It'll grab people's attention. Another thing is a lot of people, especially when they're new with creating content, they'll get on camera, they'll, smile, they'll say, "Hey guys," they'll, like really pause before getting into it. And that's not a hook. It's not going to grab people's attention. People will scroll immediately. You could give the most amazing, incredible advice in that video, but it won't matter if people don't see it.
Yeah.
So the hook is the most important thing. And then lastly, the way that I and my team, we find our hooks is we are looking up hooks online. So for example, in this niche, we look up, okay, what was the last viral video in the last 3 months? What hook did they use? Like, we do hours and hours of research. We have a strategist on our team, and this is literally all she does. She researches, okay, what are people saying? What are the video hooks that people are using? And we will literally use the hook. We'll say the same exact things. We'll change it up so it's not like we're copying it, but the principle of the hook, we do the research on that. So if you are looking to find hooks, the best way you could do that is going on Instagram, going on TikTok, going on YouTube Shorts, looking up content that's done well, 100,000 views or more, and see what hooks they're using and use them.
That is incredible and very valuable advice. So thank you for sharing that.
It's important. So,
and I think that also speaks to, something else that kind of came up when I was like talking to people about this last week is, like they're posting things, but they're not seeing results. And so, like, can you talk about, obviously their strategy, and you don't need to like give us like open everything, but like I think just talking about how there is an actual strategy that you use. And I know that from being a client, because I know like we focus on a couple of specific things and the way that we word things and switching up things and all of that. And also, like, people were asking, like, am I really going to get clients from this? Like, will I actually get stuff for my business from this?
Yeah, great questions. I want to answer the last part first, actually, and then I'll go back into strategy. I love when people say things like, how am I going to get clients or sales or whatever from this? And let me like just be transparent. The first, I want to say 2 years of my business, I didn't even have an Instagram. I only had a TikTok, and I was posting to TikTok every day. And I was able to have a multiple 6-figure business just from TikTok. No paid ads, no email marketing, no Instagram, literally posting TikToks every day. That was it. And I was booked out from that. My first client, the therapist, we posted to TikTok and Instagram. She didn't do any paid ads. Nothing else. It was just all organic. So absolutely, yes, it's so crucial. It's so vital. Everyone is on social media, and it's a really, really great avenue for that. So just putting that out there. It's definitely And then also another people always say, is my target audience on there? Like, are they really on TikTok? Are they on Instagram? Yes, they are. Everyone. So that's that. And then the first half of your question was, am I going to, what was it? Can you remind me?
Just, I was like really into that. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I think I was just asking you about strategy, because I think people feel like, oh, I'm posting on social media, but I'm not getting anything from it. And it just speaks to like, that's why people like Brit exist, because there is a strategy behind everything.
Yeah. So when it comes to strategy, so people think that, okay, I posted the video, that's my strategy. No, the posting is not a strategy. A strategy is actually having a plan in place for your content. It gives you a reason behind what kind of content you're doing. You need to figure out who your target audience is. It's super crucial. Like, who are you trying to talk to? Like, you can't be talking to everyone.
Yeah.
A strategy could look like, what are the hooks that you're using in your videos? What kind of information are you giving in your videos? Your strategy could be like, how often am I posting? What platforms am I posting on? Another thing could be engagement. Social media is social. You can't just post content and then leave the app and then expect to gain 10 clients from it. Like, that's not realistic. You have to be engaging with people. When people leave a comment, respond back. It's an actual live person on the other end of the phone commenting on your post. You should respond back. Post in your stories. Having a story strategy could also be huge for you. There's people who don't have a huge following, but they post in their stories. They're posting their services and offers in their stories often, and they're able to build from there. So having a strategy, it sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's basically just having a game plan in place for your content, so it's not just going to waste. So I hope that kind of answers it a little bit.
Helpful. And Bradleycia, I think I said it right this time, because she mentioned she wanted to know like how much research goes into learning our niche, which you already answered. But I will also say that I'm very impressed, because Brit's team gives me my scripts, and sometimes I'm reading them and I'm like, how do they know? Like, the verbiage and the way that things are worded, like, it's pretty spot on. So yes, they do a lot of research.
Yeah, we do a lot of research. And that's a good question, actually, because within my agency, we don't have a niche. Like, I'm not a therapist. Like, we're not in that niche specifically. But we do a lot of research behind the scenes. So our strategist, she'll spend 10 to 12 hours just looking up things, researching things, really knowing your tone of voice as well, because we're speaking as if we are you, right? So we have to kind of get to know you. When you first started working with us, you filled out a questionnaire that asked about, what are your offers? What is your messaging? What kind of topics do you stay away from? What things do you want to talk about? So we did a lot of initial work in that onboarding phase to really get to know you. And we utilize that in the scripting and in the content. So it's a lot of steps that we take, but when we're able to do that, you're able to make content that's authentic, right? We don't want to come in and say, do this and do that, like, and lose you and lose your voice.
Yeah.
So it's very much a collab. So yeah.
Which is hugely important, because if you do have to get up and film yourself and it's not in your tone of voice, or it's not in my tone of voice, then it's going to be very forced. And at least for me, it will be very obvious.
I will also say, like, we're not giving you this script like you have to read it like it's a teleprompter. We want it to be in your own voice. And if there's ever a situation where you're like, this doesn't feel like me, like, we welcome that feedback. Again, like, we'll be like, okay, we can reword it. You can say it in your own words. So yeah.
Yeah, which I love. And even yesterday was my filming day. That's why my hair looks so good today.
Fabulous.
And my husband helps me. And there was one where he had to do some speaking as well. And so he's reading his script like word for word, and I'm responding. And I said something at the end when we were done, and he was like, that wasn't on the script. I'm like, I'm allowed to add my own stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I see people watching live. So if you have questions, drop them below. But I know some of the other questions we had were one that is also relatable to me. My friend Andrea asked this. She's also what I would call multi-passionate. And that was her question, is like, how, when you have a lot of offers, how do you figure out the content, or like what you should do, what should you focus on, how many is too many, like that type of thing?
It's a really on point question, because that was something we were working on with you recently. It's great to have a lot of offers. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't have a huge audience, like you're really kind of working with a certain number of people, you want to make sure that your messaging is super clear. If
Yeah.
you come in and you have, 10 flavors of ice cream to offer someone, they're probably going to feel a little overwhelmed, and they're probably going to pick, vanilla or something that's like not the most exciting thing because of that overwhelm. So it's the same concept. You don't want to offer too many things. I think for me personally, no more than 3-ish offers. You want to have something that's very low ticket, easy entry, maybe even a freebie, something middle, and then something high. So that way when you're making your content, you're not talking about 20 different things every single video. The backbone of marketing is saying the same thing a million different ways, but it's always the same message. So when you have 20 different offers, or, something crazy like that, you're going to feel like you're always talking about different things, and it's going to burn you out over time. So I always suggest no more than 3, and then you regularly talk about those 2 to 3, maybe even 1 offer if that's important to you, and keep it like that.
Yeah, which is helpful, especially for somebody like me who does have a million things. So we it out.
Yeah. And one more thing I want to say to that: it's okay to be like, I'm multi-passionate. Like, I love to do different things, but as like a businesswoman, I look at the thing that's making me the most money. If I have this offer and it makes me $20 a month, why am I spending so much time and energy pushing this thing that's not even doing anything? Meanwhile, the offer that's making me 6 figures, I'm only talking about here and there. That doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
So also think about your bottom line as well.
I also think this is, I mean, not necessarily related to social media, but kind of, I think, because something that comes up just like with my coaching and consulting clients is like, when you are selling something, like, they just want to post it once. And I'm like, you have to talk about that. You have to beat a dead horse. Because it takes people. I mean, there are people who work with me and they're like, I've been following you for 2 years. I'm on your email list. I'm in your Facebook groups. Like, you never know where people are at in the buying process. And new people are coming in every day. People don't see that post. Like, you just really have to talk about it over and over and over again.
Yes.
Okay. Another question. Do you work with people who want to have an Insta site 9 grid? And what do you think about Threads as a social platform for therapists?
It's a really good question. So with the 9 grid strategy, I have thoughts about this. So really funny, actually, as a social media manager, I don't want to promote that, because then, I wouldn't be like exist really.
Yeah.
But it is a good way to get started if you are trying to just make a plan and start something and have something up. And if you don't know what a 9 grid strategy is, it's basically you have 9 posts on your Instagram, and that's it. You just keep it there. It's very clear. It talks about what your offers are, maybe a little bit of your background, and you don't really post. It's just that's there. And if someone wants to look at your social media, they have something to see. So that's really what a 9 grid strategy is. But because social media is constantly changing, the reason why people post often is because, like you were saying earlier, new people are going to be seeing it. When you post a 9 grid strategy, you post it that one time, and you have to kind of rely on people finding you in other ways and then coming and, electing to go to your Instagram and see that stuff. But if you're posting all the time, you're putting your face and you're putting your content in front of new people every single day, and you're going to grow your following that way. A 9 grid strategy kind of holds you back from that. So I suggested if you're like, I just want something up, I just need something up, so it's nothing that, like, there's nothing there. Okay, but it shouldn't be a long-term solution. It should be just a temporary thing. And then the second question was about threads.
Yeah, what do you think about Threads as a social platform for therapists?
So I have a love-hate with threads as well. I think threads is great, but like honestly, it's not as different from like X, Twitter.
Yeah.
Um, as long as you're posting valuable stuff and you're posting consistent, you can find success with threads. Um, but I think video is king. I think you really need to show up on camera and film video content. I think that will take you a lot farther.
Mhm.
There are people that find success with threads, but in terms of reach, in terms of building your practice, building your brand, I find video content has been working better for our clients.
I would agree with that. I never look at Threads and I get the notification. Care.
People have forgotten about threads. Like it's not even that a thing anymore, really.
Too many things. And I personally, as like a consumer of social media, I like the video content. I like to
Yeah.
see what's happening.
Yeah. People don't really like to read as well. So
Yeah. That I definitely know. I was talking about that earlier with somebody else. Okay, other questions that I know people had were about KPIs, like how do we know it's working? What types of KPIs should we be looking at to see if
yeah.
it's working? Like how do we know?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with KPIs, I always go back to what is your end goal? Is it to be booking clients? Is it to grow your following and grow your personal brand? Your KPIs will be dependent on what your ultimate goal is. So let's say, for example, your goal is to grow a following, grow your personal brand. Then the things that you should be looking at is, are my videos converting into followers? Are people liking it? Are they sharing it? Are the views up? Those are the kind of things you would want to look at, because ultimately that would result in your following growing. If your goal is to have a community, build, a community of people who really care about what you're saying, maybe not so much the followers, but just people caring, then doing engagement. That's something that you would be tracking. Are people commenting? Are people, DMing me? Are people making conversations? Are the topics that I'm making content around sparking a conversation? That's what you would be like checking on. If your goal is to book clients or get sales in your business, then the things that you should be looking at are people tapping the link in my bio?
Yeah.
Are people DMing me and asking me about specific services or offers that I have? Are people on my website? Are they signing up for my emails? And then obviously tracking how much money you're making as well. Is the content converting into sales? Those are the things that you'd be tracking.
And I also know the answer to this, but I'm gonna, let you answer. Somebody else was asking, I think it was Carla earlier, what does the communication look like between like me and you and your clients? Like how much communication is happening? How much needs to happen? What is that process like?
Like on a client basis?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So these are all great questions. Yeah, so when it comes to communication, what we try to do is be as available as possible. So we're in Slack. We have a Slack channel for each of our clients. And we do have a team. So you get a designated social media manager who's working on like the creative aspects. We have a strategist. We have a community manager who's responding to comments on your behalf. And we're all in a group Slack channel together. So whenever we have an idea or maybe you want to change an offer up, we all communicate in there. We also communicate through email, but I feel like email is slow. So we have both options. So that's our best way of communicating. And then also we have a monthly call. So every month, me and Gabrielle, we are sitting on a call and we just discuss everything. We brain dump. We talk about, okay, how is the content doing? What do we need to improve on? Do you want to talk about a certain topic for the next month? We try to discuss it in that call. I know that our clients are busy, so we just have one call. And I think that, I would assume that you guys it's enough for you. So between Slack and the call, that's the way we communicate.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I don't really find that and not in a bad way, in a good way. Like, I don't really have to communicate with them very often. It's usually just about like, here's the link to this thing.
Yeah.
Here's the ManyChat keyword.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm late. I'm coming. Content is coming. Content
Yeah.
is coming. But I will just say, like, you know, if this is something that you're thinking about doing, I like making content personally. So I find it fun. What I don't like doing is editing or like all the back end stuff basically that Brit's team does that actually gets me sales, so to speak, and gets me like more exposure. So to me, it like everything is perfect because I just get a list and they give me a due date and they say this is this is how to do it. Give it to us by November 18th, which I did this month. And then it's done. And then when they're ready, they send it and you approve it. So I just want people to know that too, that like you could be more involved, but like your stuff isn't getting posted without your approval. And even before then, like when they send the ideas, if you didn't like something or if you were like, this is not my vibe or actually don't like that or whatever, then you would just say that and you will fix it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is your business, this is your brand, so we respect that, and we try not to post anything without you, looking at it and you let us know. I mean, you hardly give us edits, but when you do, we get it done, and we'll make sure it's good. So,
and it's very quick if there are edits, and it's usually just something very small, like there's like a little typo or something with the captions. Yeah, it's very easy to fix. So never anything major. What happens if you go viral? Is there like a flurry behind the scenes of people freaking out? Like, what does it look like?
That is so funny. So here's the thing that people don't get about being viral is going viral is cool if you're going viral for the right reasons.
Yeah.
If you go viral and you don't have your funnel set up, you don't have the link in your bio correct, you don't even have availability in your practice to take on new clients. Like it doesn't do anything for you. It's just, oh, cool, I have 2 million views.
Yep.
But if you go viral and you have your funnel set up, you have a passive offer that's ready to be purchased, you have people following you for the right reasons. Like it's not just random people that are never going to like your content after that one viral video. It's people that actually care about your messaging. Then going viral is really awesome. Yeah. So you have to have, that strategy in place. You have to be ready to go viral. Another downside to going viral, I'm not trying to make it sound negative, but being realistic. Another downside to going viral is like most of those people just like that one video and then they move on with their life. They're not following you back. They're not going to be, or if they do follow you back, they might not like every other post that you're posting. So keep that in mind as well. It's really a vanity metric. It's nice. It's fun. It's exciting. It's like, oh yeah, we're going viral. Yay, 1 million views. It's cool. But beyond that, it's really just like 15 seconds of, 15 seconds literally of fame.
Yeah. I had always before I started working with you, and it went like not even micro viral. It was like baby viral, and it was on TikTok, and it had like 25,000 views, and that's what it was. I was like, cool. Like I was all excited, and then it was like, still don't even have 1,000 followers on TikTok. Yeah. I didn't at that time. So yeah, it was just like a cool, like raise your blood pressure for a day.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think for going viral, it helps from maybe like a product standpoint. Like if you have like a course that you're selling and you get those eyes and people can see it, then yes, it's great. But other than that, it's really just a fun thing that might happen. So yeah.
Finally, somebody also asked about budget. Like how much should people expect to pay? How should they fit that in? What should they expect to get from it? And I know that this varies very greatly, but any insight you can give on that?
This is an excellent question. So when it comes to hiring anybody or anything, you get what you pay for. There are social media managers that you can hire on like a Fiverr or, something like that. And you might spend $500 a month. But they most likely don't have super like as much experience. They're probably not going to create a custom strategy for you. They're probably going to hop on Canva, make some graphics and post it. And then that's not going to do anything for you. So you could do that. But you have to look at like, what are you trying to get out of it? Are you trying to build an audience? Are you trying to grow your practice? Are you trying to get clients? And if that's the case, then I would suggest hiring someone who is not just a social media manager, but also a strategist. They're going to work with you. They're going to collaborate with you. They're going to really make sure that if something's not performing, they look into why is it not performing? How can we pivot? How can we change it? And that's going to cost. It's going to cost a little bit more. I would say like a decent social media manager and strategist would start anywhere between $1,500 a month and go up from there, $2,500, $3,500 a month. There's also social media managers that do content creation with you. So you could fly them to you to film you if that's something that you struggle with, is filming yourself. So the price really does vary. But I would say like a decent social media manager wouldn't be less than $1,500 a month. That would be my best recommendation. And then also think about just what you're going to be needing. Sometimes it's based off a package, like they'll maybe divide it by a platform. So you'll decide what kind of platforms you want to show up on. Maybe it's about the frequency of posting. Also think about the other ways you're marketing. Are you going to be doing ads as well as having a social media manager do organic? Are you just going to do organic? If that's the case, you're going to need to post a lot more, and that's going to cost more. So think about a lot of these different aspects and decide what's best for you and what you need in your business.
That was a beautiful and very helpful answer. Is there anything else as we are wrapping up here? I've taken up a lot of your time, but this was incredibly helpful. I know that you answered so many things that people are really struggling with as they move into to us. I think like therapists, it's like a new place. So I think this was just like and just so helpful to see kind of behind the scenes and how much really can go into this. But
yeah,
any other like other tips or advice that you would give? And then of course tell people if they want to work with you, if you have space where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest advice I want to leave everyone with, if you didn't hear anything else, but you just hear this part, start. Social media is, oh my gosh, it's done wonders for myself. It's done wonders for my clients. It's changed my life. It's changed my business. When you start and you practice and you start showing up for yourself and you start making content, it literally will change your business from the inside out. I've had clients that have come to us and they had zero sales, zero leads, zero everything. They felt like they were just shouting in the void. And they had no support. They didn't know what they were doing, but they came to us even by booking a $200 strategy call. That helped them to get get them started. And then eventually working with us full on and having us take on the hard stuff like the editing. And, you don't have to teach yourself every single thing. You can get support for it as well. But ultimately start posting, whether that's 3 times a week. I would suggest once a day, but if you could do 3 times a week and, talk about your offer, sell. Don't be afraid to sell. No one's going to know unless you say it. You are your number one influencer. You are your number one, billboard. So don't be afraid to sell. But yeah, ultimately get started. Yeah, I think that's my biggest advice. I'm on social media as Brit Social Media. I am taking on clients for 2025. So just meet me in Instagram. You can DM me. You can also go to the link in my bio on Instagram or TikTok as well. And I would love to work with you guys.
I will put all of Brit's links below. And again, make sure you put #replay if you were watching the replay so that I can come and answer all of your questions, because I think this is like one of the most helpful Facebook Lives I've ever done in this group. So please everybody watch it because it was so good. I will put all of her links below, and Brit does have like multiple ways of working with her, like she mentioned. So if you are maybe not ready or you don't have the budget to commit to like full social media management, you can book a strategy call with her, which obviously is worth its weight in gold. So and if you
Thank
want to see
you.
her work, you can look at my Instagram, which is at GJV Consulting, and you can see all the videos that she's been doing for me too.
And make sure you follow her.
Yeah, don't forget to follow me. Thank you so, so much. This was so extremely helpful, and I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you so much. I really loved it. It was great. Could I take a picture really quick for my story?
Yes. Before we
I'm
end.
always doing something. Alrighty, ready? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brit. And everybody, again, all the links will be below if you want to reach out to her. And if you have other questions and you're watching this later and you didn't get to it, just put them on here and we'll make sure we get back to you too. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.